The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening, 38 degrees, snowing, 9:40 on your Saturday, December 13th. I'm Stephanie, officer. Here's what's happening.
All we have is a suspect that was a male dressed in black.
Following breaking news out of Brown University, where at least 2 people have been killed, 9 others critically injured in a shooting there.
A lot of excitement, a lot of talk of hot chocolate, snowmen, and sleds.
Maybe you've heard, but snow is coming on its way tonight. AccuWeather. Up next, tonight's Powerball has hit $1 billion. The White House promises very serious retaliation after Saturday's deadly attack in Syria. Good news for your sweet tooth. Devils, they beat the Ducks. The Islanders beat the Lightning. The Knicks beat the Magic. 38 degrees, snowing in Midtown. It's news time, 9:41. Let's get you where you need to go. Susan Browning.
Here's what you need to know about the bridges and the tunnels. So much better news. In 20 minutes or less across the board, my friends. Inbound and outbound on the George, both levels. Lincoln and Holland as well. You've got good news there on the Goethals. The outer bridge all looking okay. The East River crossings, let's check those. Yep, just a little bit slow on that RFK coming into Queens because you've got a crash on the bridge coming right into that area. That's being worked on. Should be cleared away pretty soon. But here's what we see in Long Island's Big Three, a couple of issues. LIE eastbound at Casino Boulevard. You've got one lane crash slow from around the Van Wyck, give or take. And I'm seeing an issue in Syosset on the westbound side of the LIE, right around South Oyster Bay Road, exit 43. There's a crash there and 2 lanes are closed down, but it's not a huge delay as you make your way past that on the westbound side of the LIE in Syosset. We had some issues in Jersey earlier. Looks like we had that crash. That's been cleared away. There was a problem on 80 eastbound. All lanes were closed down, but that looks okay. That's been cleared away. Good news there. And that problem on the Van Wyck moving southbound, that crash before Linton Boulevard, that's gone like the wind. Susan Browning, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
At least 2 people are dead, 9 critically injured, according to police, after a shooting at Ivy League Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island today. President Trump has been briefed. The incident was reported at the Boris and Holly building, which houses the School of Engineering and Physics Department.
Our officers responded, and as they're trained to do, entered that building immediately and began searching for a suspect. They did a systematic search of the building. However, no suspect was located at that time.
That's Deputy Chief of Providence Police Tim O'Hara. Today was the second day of final exams for the fall semester. Authorities still searching for that suspect. A shelter in place is still in place for the area, and cops say they will be releasing surveillance video of that suspect. Now, the NYPD is chiming in on this on social media, saying they're tracking the active shooter incident. At this time, there is no nexus to New York City, but out of an abundance of caution, they are deploying some extra officers to local universities. Well, we're looking at up to 8. Why do I keep saying 8? No, 4 inches of snowfall. It's like I want it to be 8 and I don't. Through the overnight, the first significant one in our area this season. More now from AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Erickson.
A fast-moving storm bringing our first accumulating snowfall of the season tonight into tomorrow morning, with total accumulations expected to pile up 1 to 3 inches in Midtown, the Bronx, northern and western suburbs, with 3 to 6 inches expected for Staten Island, Brooklyn, and Queens. Out across Long Island, watch out for worsening travel conditions as the night wears on and into Sunday morning. But this is a fast-moving storm. It's out of here by mid-morning with a gradual improvement in conditions throughout Sunday afternoon. And I'll be back in about 10 minutes with further details on that complete 4-day AccuWeather forecast.
Now, the city's Office of Emergency Management activated the city's winter weather emergency plan yesterday in anticipation. First Deputy Commissioner Christina Farrell telling Winds.
People might just want to stay in, take it easy. If people are going out, especially if they're going to houses of worship or other things, we have been messaging with houses of worship since it's mostly going to affect Sunday morning, but we would encourage people to take it slowly.
Now, following the snow, you should bundle up to brave temps as low as 22 to 25 degrees and wind chills between 5 and 15 miles an hour. Now, for some New Yorkers, the snow cannot come soon enough. I'm not one of them. For others, it depends on the commute.
The forecast is delivering more than just snow to Ashley Pantone. It's a taste of home.
I'm actually from Buffalo, so I do get snow, quite a bit of snow, and I'm missing it here, so I would like to see some more snow.
The anticipation may vary. Colbert tells me it depends on who you are and what you're doing.
It all depends. Are you driving? Are you walking? Are you a child? Are you an adult that has to go to work? It changes everything.
With 2 young kids, Jamie Kenyon says their focus is on fun.
A lot of excitement, a lot of talk of hot chocolate, snowmen, and sleds.
Whether it's a hassle or a highlight, all eyes here are in the sky. Darius Rancius, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM in Midtown.
Migrant day laborers and community members today rallied against ICE at the Manhattan Home Depot on 23rd Street. In protest, they are buying and returning ice scrapers. It's a response to what activists call escalating ICE operations on Home Depot properties nationwide. Murad Owalda, president and CEO at the New York Immigration Coalition, telling Wins.
This is a nonviolent act of protest where we are really bringing the demand straight to Home Depot's front door.
In a statement, Home Depot tells Wins they were not notified immigration enforcement activities were happening, they were not involved in the operations, and that they are not coordinating with ICE or Border Patrol. Oh, it's so loud. Powerball's jackpot has surged to $1 billion ahead of tonight's drawing. There have now been 41 consecutive drawings without a winner. This is now the second $1 billion Powerball jackpot this year alone, the 7th largest prize in the game's history. Now, the jackpot has grown to $1 billion, which would yield a cash value of just over $457 million. Phew, not too shabby. The Powerball jackpot last hit on September 6th by 2 tickets in Missouri and Texas. A pledge of very serious retaliation from the White House after today's deadly attack on American troops in Syria.
Now, this marks the first American fatalities in Syria since the fall of dictator Bashar al-Assad. The president of Syria is devastated. Well, remember, it was just a month ago that President Trump actually met with the new Syrian president. That was historic, marking the first time a Syrian head of state has ever visited the White House. It also marks the first deaths of Americans in combat since President Trump began his second term.
Correspondent Selena Wang, the troops were carrying out an anti-terrorism mission when that attack happened. In a move that could threaten the tenuous ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, Israel assassinated a senior Hamas official in Gaza.
Israel says that Ra'ad Saad was the head of Hamas's weapons manufacturing headquarters and one of the architects of the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. They said he was the number 2 to the current Hamas military chief, Izzadin Haddad. The army said Ra'ad had been working to rebuild Hamas's military capability. The next phase of the ceasefire calls for Hamas to disarm.
Linda Gradstein reporting from Jerusalem. Russia targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Ukrainian officials saying hundreds of missiles and drones were launched in this latest air assault, causing major damage and leaving thousands of homes without power.
There's been little sign of any meaningful breakthrough as these talks have been going on, with major sticking points hanging over negotiations. Ukraine refusing to give over land in the eastern part of the country, which is illegally occupied by Russia. And many people we speak to here believe that Russian President Vladimir Putin, he won't accept peace until he's achieved his military goals.
Correspondent Britt Clennett. Went to News Time 950, traffic and AccuWeather in just a minute on 1010 Wins. Well, if you love chocolate and have an insatiable sweet tooth, the next story is for you. We'll tell you about that, but first... Went to News Time 951. Let's get you where you need to go. Susan Brown.
And if you know you need to go onto the LIE, we've got a couple of issues to talk about. LIE eastbound at Casino Boulevard, a one-lane crash being worked on. A bit of a slow go from the Van Wyck over to that spot on the LIE eastbound at Casino. Now, on the westbound side of the LIE in Syosset, you have 2 lanes closed down right around South Oyster Bay Road. There's a crash there. A minor delay, actually, to get around that. Northern State and Southern State are looking pretty good. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We are looking so much better at the George in both directions. About 20 minutes or less, that goes for both levels. Thanks very much. Lincoln and Holland looking okay. We're looking at maybe 12 minutes. How specific am I for the Lincoln and the Holland? That goes for both directions. And that crash coming off the RFK into Queens, that has been cleared away. I'm seeing a problem in Rockland County, just over the Jersey border in Orangetown. Route 303 is closed both ways with a crash that's involving a pedestrian. So that is a real bad problem there. So you need to avoid that. Use the Palisades or Route 9W to get around that road closure. And in Jersey, we still have that problem. Let me just double check. Route 80 is closed down both ways, but they're working on a bad crash near exit 30. That's Howard Boulevard in Mount Arlington. So you can use Route 46 instead. Susan Browning, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Now let's get to your official 1010 Winds AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Carl Erickson.
A fast-moving storm bringing our snow tonight into early Sunday morning with a total accumulation of 1 to 3 inches for Midtown, the Bronx, northern and western suburbs, 3 to 6 inches for Staten Island, Brooklyn, and Queens out across Long Island, making streets and sidewalks snow-covered and slippery through early Sunday morning, down to 28 for a low, then gradually improving conditions into Sunday afternoon as that storm pulls away, high 31. Watch out for icy spots returning, though, tomorrow night as temperatures drop down to 19. Anything wet or slushy, refreezing. Sunshine and patchy clouds on Monday, high 30. Not as harsh on Tuesday under a partly sunny sky, high 35. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Erickson on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
We do trust artificial intelligence, don't we? To write an email, do homework, run laundry. Now it's found its way into dating.
The world's first AI matchmaker and coach can be found in the 3-Day Rule app. Matchmaking is very different than dating apps.
We know why a date worked out or did not work out because we collect post-date feedback.
CEO Adam Cohen-Eslati has been matchmaking for 15 years. All the data they've gathered during that time is now part of its algorithm.
The success rate of matchmaking is between 70 and 80%, compared to a dating app, which is about 9%.
It's free to start, and then there's add-ons and charges along the way. But notable in that it's never been done before. And if you're traveling this holiday season, free advice. Airports are apparently the top place to meet singles.
Really easy to have a conversation with a person at airport, and the outcomes tend to be much higher than randomly finding a person at a grocery store or even a gym.
Kevin Rincon, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Good news for those of you with a sweet tooth.
A new study published in the Journal of Aging establishes a link between biological aging and a compound found in dark chocolate. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Alok Patel.
What researchers looked at was a chemical compound in dark chocolate. The darker, the better, called theobromine, and a potential association with high levels of this chemical compound and lower signs of biological aging.
But researchers stress that eating more dark chocolate isn't necessarily healthy, given its sugar and fat content. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Now, biological aging has to do with how well your body functions as opposed to how many years you've lived. When's News Time 9:56. Now, Bloomberg Money Watch.
And a welcome to a wintry but electric Target Center.
Do you have bad seats for an NBA game and wish it could be different? How about upgrading to courtside in the middle of the game? Bloomberg reporter Ira Boudouet.
The idea is, yes, that you could be at the game in the seat with the ticket that you already paid for, and then maybe get an offer, a prompt on your phone or browse on your phone, in the ticket app run by the team and move closer to the floor.
Minnesota Timberwolves are selling mid-game seat upgrades to move into seats in the first 20 rows for an average $34 each through an app called Jump and its live marketplace for tickets to games, started in part by owners Mark Laurie and Alex Rodriguez.
They remembered being kids at baseball games and seeing the good seats down in front, and you could go and try to sneak by the usher and take those seats and jump into better seats, and they wanted to make that into an actual product.
For now, Jump is setting the prices for the seat upgrades. As inventory grows, it may start shooting for auctions. I'm Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM.
1010 Winds. I love that I get the news without the bias.
I totally trust what they say.
All news, all the time.
1010 Winds.
On 92.3 FM. WINS FM and HD1 New York.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
We've got a winter weather advisory starting in less than a minute for the city, Long Island, coastal Connecticut areas near and south of I-80 in New Jersey until 1 p.m. tomorrow. More people get their news from 1010 Winds than from any other radio station in the nation. Chris Rash at the editor's desk. I am Stephanie Officer.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good evening, 38 degrees. Some of us are seeing the snow come down at 10 o'clock. I'm Paul Verdane. Here's what's happening. We're tracking the storm as the snow moves in across the city and the rest of the Northeast tonight. New details just now on tonight's shooting at Brown University that killed 2. Suspect remains at large.
There is a shelter in place in effect for the greater Brown University area.
9 people hurt, some critically. The NYPD watching developments and stepping up resources for colleges and universities here tonight. Protesters against the ICE crackdown target another Home Depot, this time in Manhattan. President Trump and the defense chief Hegseth vows swift retaliation for a shooting in Syria that killed 2 U.S. soldiers. A grunge classic has a new life, and the push to save lives, maybe it's on your playlist. Knicks beat the Magic, the Islanders won, the Rangers and Montreal all tied up at the moment at 4-4 there at the Garden. Periods of snow late tonight into Sunday. Winter weather advisory has just gone up this hour. Winds News Time 10:01 as we get you where you need to go. And here's Susan Browning.
Just got word 2 minutes ago of a crash on the lower level of the George coming inbound right before you get under the apartments. You've got one lane blocked down because of that. And we were doing so good with the George before, but it still looks okay. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels besides that crash on the George. Coming inbound about 20 minutes, not bad at all. On the outbound side, pretty much the same. Lincoln and Holland seem to be zooming along in both directions, so we got that much going for us. Unfortunately, now I'm seeing a new problem on the FDR, moving southbound right around exit 7 of 23rd Street. A crash slowing down your progress. It's kind of a slow ride from the Queensboro Bridge on down. Here's what we see in Long Island's Big 3, LIE westbound at Willis Avenue. That's exit 37, a right lane stall, and a minor brake check getting through that area. That crash that we had on the westbound LIE at South Oyster Bay Road, that's off onto the shoulder. The cars are moving well. Susan Browning, 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM.
And in tonight's storm, the 1010 Wind Storm Desk is on the job to get you through the first significant snowfall of the season. So here we go. Winter weather advisory has just gone up. The snow that we've been talking about for days now is moving in. We checked in with AccuWeather.
Our first accumulating snowfall of the season underway tonight as snow picks up in intensity after midnight and will continue through about mid-morning on Sunday. Generally a 12-hour event in any given location. And breaking down some of those expected snowfall totals, 1 to 3 inches for Midtown, the Bronx, and points north and west. But in this situation, the higher amounts actually further south you go. So Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and out across Long Island expected to fall into that 3 to 6 inch range when things are all said and done by mid-morning tomorrow, making streets and sidewalks snow-covered and slippery. So allow yourself some extra time overnight through Sunday morning. Then conditions will gradually improve heading into Sunday afternoon. I'll be back in about 10 minutes with further details on that 4-day AccuWeather forecast.
AccuWeather's Carl Erickson watching the snow moving in. And yes, we know it might not be snowing where you are, but some folks are seeing the flakes flying. And New York City has issued a snow alert. Christina Farrell, first deputy commissioner at the city OEM, tells 1010 Winds the sanitation department snow fighters are all ready.
They have added extra shifts. They're doing some brining. And then, once there is a decent amount of snow, they can start to plow.
Sanitation says no changes anticipated right now for trash and recycling collection on Monday. No changes tonight in subway, bus, and commuter rail schedules, and that includes NJ Transit. In some areas, they're seeing the snow now. Our breaking news tonight and new details in just about the past half hour or so in the shooting tonight at Brown University in Providence. We have word that the suspect remains at large. That campus and the surrounding neighborhood of College Hill in Providence remain on lockdown. The incident was reported in a classroom, we're learning, in the building that houses Brown School of Engineering and Physics Department. Students and staff were on hand there for final exams.
We heard a lot of noise by the police outside our lab, and I also received a notification that they want everyone to get out of the building.
We told you that the area is on lockdown, but Mayor Brett Smiley says there's no additional threat to the community. He says the number of injured has risen by 1, now to 9.
There was one additional victim who had left the scene. It was not a gunshot wound. The individual learned that they had received fragments from the shooting that had occurred near them, and so they have non-life-threatening injuries.
Smiley said that all available resources are being used in the search for the suspect. Rhode Island's Governor Dan McKee has saying that he's spoken with the FBI Director Kash Patel and that federal officers are joining local and state police. There's a search for the shooter who was last seen leaving that classroom building in black clothing. Police are about to in Providence release surveillance video. The suspect they're seeking. A police official closed that news conference on the shooting incident, saying it's believed that they are just searching for one gunman. President Trump saying that he was briefed tonight on that shooting incident. And the NYPD says there is no New York connection. But they're watching developments and resources are being stepped up around colleges and universities here in New York City. Keep it here at 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM as we continue to follow that story. Any developments, of course, we'll pass them right along. The focus of protest over the Trump immigration crackdown was the Home Depot on 23rd Street on Saturday. Protesters lined up for a buy-in that has been used in other locations where they buy one item and then immediately return it, tying up the cash registers. Murad Awadeh with the New York Immigration Coalition tells 1010 Wins.
Home Depot stores must be made safe for everyone. Day laborers don't hate Home Depot. They love Home Depot. That's why you see them always shopping here. But they must be able to look for work and shop in peace without fear of being chased down aisles and assaulted.
Protesters want a public statement from Home Depot condemning ICE operations involving its stores. President Trump is promising what he calls serious retaliation for the attack in Syria that killed 2 U.S. soldiers and a civilian. The shooting took place near Palmyra, and so far there is no claim of responsibility. President Trump with reporters outside the White House.
Syria, by the way, was fighting along with us. The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and I'm not surprised, he's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria.
Trump said that the 3 service members who were wounded in the attack on Saturday seem to be, he says, doing well. Israel is saying that its attack in Gaza has killed one of the top commanders of Hamas.
Israel is saying that they have not violated the ceasefire, that this was part of the agreement that they would be carrying out these types of strikes when they deemed them necessary. Hamas is saying that this is a clear violation of the ceasefire agreement.
And that's Marcus Moore reporting. It's a long, bitter December in Ukraine where Russia continues to target the country's energy sector before peace talks.
5 regions in Ukraine were hit in a barrage of Russian attacks overnight, leaving more than 1 million households without electricity as Russia continues to hit the country's infrastructure and cripple its energy supply. It comes as President Donald Trump's envoy will travel to Germany this weekend to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders for more talks on how to end this war.
That's Britt Clement reporting. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says 450 Russian drones and 30 missiles hit early on Saturday. A Ukrainian drone attack on southwestern Russia has killed 2. That attack damaged a residential building and windows were blown out of the clinic and a kindergarten in the Saratov region. 38 degrees. Some folks seeing the snow now. We'll check the traffic story and an update from AccuWeather. That's all next. As we update the traffic story and get you where you need to go, here's Susan Browning.
And on the Subaru Forester Hybrid Storm Cam, we see snow plows out on the thruway in both directions before the Deegan and going to the Garden State Parkway connector, as well in Jersey, salt trucks in the Garden State both ways from Pascack Valley Toll Plaza to the New York State line with a 45-mile-per-hour salting operation. And just, common sense, give way to the salt trucks and the plows. I know it's kind of a drag to drive behind them, but they're trying to keep us all safe. So cool your jets. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and the tunnels. The inbound George lower level, you got a center lane crash on the New York side, not really causing a big backup behind that. A slow ride on the FDR southbound, a crash being cleared away right around 23rd Street. And here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. The LIE westbound at exit 37 at Willis Ave, a right lane stall and a minor brake check to get through that area. Now in Rockland County, just over the Jersey border in Orangetown, Route 303 is down in both directions. A bad crash involving a pedestrian. Use the Palisades or 9W to get around that road closure. Susan Browning, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
All right, let's get the details now on that snow and the AccuWeather forecast from our meteorologist Carl Erickson tonight.
Our first accumulating snowfall tonight into early Sunday morning will leave behind anywhere from 1 to 3 inches for Midtown. The Bronx points north and west with higher amounts just off to the south, more into Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and out across Long Island. Anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow expected before things wrap up around mid-morning on Sunday. Either way, streets and sidewalks snow-covered and slippery overnight into Sunday morning. Use caution if you're out and about, down to 28 for a low. Then blustering colder behind the departing storm tomorrow afternoon, high 31. Watch out for icy spots tomorrow night with a low of 19. And brisk and very cold on Monday, high 30. Clouds and sunshine Tuesday, high 35. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Erickson on New York's weather station. 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
All right, you may be seeing the snow where you are. 37 degrees right now. We have a report of snow in Central Park. 59% humidity, west wind at 3 miles an hour, 37. And we're heading on down to a low of 28 tonight. The beloved piece of the Jersey Shore is coming back to life, albeit more than 90 miles away in Pennsylvania. The 74-foot Ferris wheel from Palace Amusements in Asbury Park will be displayed in Phoenixville. That's where it was built in 1893. You can catch a glimpse of it in Bruce's Tunnel of Love video, if only briefly. It will not be, sad to say, a working tribute, however, but old-timers who remember it from the old days can stop by and snap a photo and shed a tear if you're out that way. Connecticut's deposit on tiny bottles of booze is not doing enough to keep the empties off of all the streets and lawns. Connecticut Towns Nixing the Nip is a new group, and they want a ban. Right now, stores collect a 5-cent surcharge for every mini liquor bottle that's sold, and they're sold by the million in Connecticut. It results in about $5 million annually for town and city environmental cleanup efforts. But there's no redemption program. The Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of Connecticut, which devised the nickel per nip program, said that banning the mini liquor bottles would be unprecedented. Instead, they say the environmental groups should be challenging municipalities to prove that they're actually using the money for cleanup operations. A police officer in New Jersey is on paid leave after a crash that investigators say involved an open container of alcohol. Edward Ciampola is a captain on the North Plainfield Force and a 39-year veteran of the department. The accident happened back in July in Branchburg, police say. He was cited for careless driving and that open container and is due back in court next month. No comment from his attorney. He's been on leave since the day of the crash. But higher-ups have their questions. A police official said internal affairs investigators are trying to determine what Ciampola was doing in Branchburg when he was supposed to be on duty in his own jurisdiction.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening. 37 degrees. It's snowing at 10:20. I'm Paul Murnane. Here's what's happening. Here it is. As promised, the snow is falling. AccuWeather details on the first significant snowfall of the season from our 1010 Winds Storm Desk straight ahead. At least 2 dead, now 9 hurt, some critically, in a shooting at Brown University in Providence. We've just learned it's still on lockdown there.
We do not have a shooter in custody at this time.
Breaking details straight ahead. This weekend, we're marking 13 years since Sandy Hook. New York is among the states rolling up sleeves for a fight with the Trump administration over AI legislation. Who will the Simpson producers hire to voice the grown-up baby Maggie? We have the answer on our entertainment news coming up. In sports, the Rangers just beat Montreal at the Garden. The Islanders won. The Knicks beat the Magic. Periods of snow into early tomorrow. Winter weather advisory has gone up across the region with the snow coming down. And let's get you where you need to go at 10:21. Here's Susan Browning.
Just got this information. And it's a stalled car on the westbound BQE, and it's right before the LIE. Just one lane blocked down. That's causing a minor delay. The roads are starting to lighten up. I think everybody's trying to get to where they're going so they can snuggle in. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. LIE westbound at Willis Avenue, right lane stall there at exit 37. And just a minor brake check getting through there. Northern State and Southern State, knock on wood, looking okay, not seeing any issues there. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. All right, the inbound Georgia lower level, we had a crash there, blocking the center lane on the New York side, but it's still a good ride, 15 minutes or less. Going on the outbound George, 15 or less. Lincoln, Holland, Goethals, Outer Bridge, boom, boom, zoom. No worries there. We're looking good. Now, in Rockland County, just over the Jersey border in Orangetown, Route 303 closed down with a bad crash. Use the Palisades or 9W to get around. And we're starting to see snowplows and salt trucks scattered around. Give way. Let them do their job. They're trying to keep us safe. Just use common sense. Susan Browning, 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM.
And we are activating our storm desk here at 1010 Winds to get you through the first significant snowfall of the season. It's started to come down. We've been tracking the storm really for days now with AccuWeather.
Expect worsening travel conditions as the night wears on and heading into Sunday morning with snow picking up in intensity, especially after midnight, bringing our total accumulations of 1 to 3 inches for Midtown, the Bronx, northern and western suburbs, but higher amounts a little further off to the south. So Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and then cutting out across Long Island, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow expected.